Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. Today I'm going to be talking about all the goals that I have set out for myself in 2024 and if I accomplish them, as well as the goals that I am planning for 2025. If you guys need a reminder, I will leave linked up above and below the 2024 in-depth video of my goals for this year, what I set out for myself at the end of last December. And that will just go into a little bit more detail because I'm going to skip over some things in this video. But to start, let's talk about whether or not I met my 2024 goals. In the reading category, I set 3 goals for myself. The first is the goal that I always continue, and that would be to read 52 books in the year. I am on track. I believe I am at 60 books currently. I'm in the process of 3 more, and I do have a vacation coming up, like a staycation, that I do plan on reading. So I'm expecting to maybe meet like 65 books total for the year by the end of the actual year. But all that to say is, even as of this date today, when I am filming, and by the time you are seeing this, I've already surpassed that number. Now, my next 2 goals were trying to be responsible and trying to both like cut down on how much I was spending as well as reading the books on my shelves. So the first was that I wanted to only buy 20 new books. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't track this, but I definitely don't think I stuck to it at all. And I only say that because I know distinctly behind me there's a bunch of books on the floor, and I got them all at yard sales for like anywhere between 25 cents and $2 each. And I at least have 10 or 12 in that pile. So I think I might have been close. I also stopped Fairy Loot. So I was getting the adult Fairy Loot for most of the year, but I think by July or August, I decided to stop it completely. I realized that I was skipping more books, and because I was getting books that I just wasn't reading fast enough and I didn't even know if I was gonna like them, I really sat back and reconsidered, like, do I really need special editions of every book that comes out? And to me, that became a no. I probably got at least 6 books from Fairy Loot. And then I also bought a couple of the blind dates with the books. There was pre-orders that I had, things like that. So I absolutely went over 20. Most of the books that I bought were from yard sales and flea markets. So I didn't spend a ton overall, but I didn't stick to that only 20 new books. I'm gonna consider it a fail for the purpose of the goal, but I think I did better than I have in previous years. And then my last goal was to read 2 to 3 Neil Gaiman books, and I read none. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to by the end of this year. So I had a plan to include Neil Gaiman's Stardust in a book club selection, and then a bunch of stuff came out about Neil Gaiman that was not great, and I think that just kind of turned me off from reading his books for the time being. I won't say that I will never read them, because at this point I went to see him live last year in 2023, and I have 5 books on my shelves that are signed. So I'm going to read them at this point. Like, the consumerism has already been done. Like, he has my money, you know? But I left a sour taste in my mouth, so I kind of put off reading the books by him. So I'm not going to make that a goal next year, but if I read something by him, then like I'll enjoy it for what it was when it had come out, when it was written, you know? And that was all the reading goals I had. And I actually only had one goal for YouTube, and that was to start filming my TBR video sooner, because the last 2 years I have done a You Pick My TBR video, and then I read them and try to either decide if I'm taking them off my shelves or keeping them, because again, I have too many books and I am not getting to them as quick as I would like to. So I did start it early. I filmed my intro clip back in like June or July, and then I also did technically start reading sooner than I had in the past. Like, I really did leave them all till December the last couple of years, but I started in the beginning of November this year. So that video will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it's a doozy. So if you like long vlogs, especially reading vlogs, I hope you guys will check that out when it is uploaded. And then for my personal goals, I can't personally remember what I said in my last video, so I'm gonna keep it vague and you can go reference that video if you're interested. I did have one personal financial goal that was not met because of things that had come up in life, so it wasn't really something I could have controlled. Also wanted to specifically exercise once a week, and then I wanted to bike more because mountain biking is something I really love, and I love being outdoors, and I have a really nice bike that I wasn't using. So I did bike more. I used my bike 4 times in the year, and we went on very lovely trips, and I have vlogs talking about that in the past if you're interested. But as far as exercising once weekly, and I included that into anything like walking, yoga, Pilates, I definitely did not keep that up. I think my best stretch was in the summer because I love being outside, and I was outside every chance I could have gotten. I was taking walks and biking, and I just did everything outside. But once the weather started to get cold, and it got cold really fast here in Pennsylvania, I kind of stopped exercising in general. And then I also wanted to start a D&D campaign officially, but that never got off the ground this year. It just seemed like every time we would schedule something, something would happen to someone. Whether it was like this person is going through this traumatic incident, this person is struggling with X, Y, or Z, the holidays are coming up. Yeah, we've rescheduled it pretty much anytime we ever tried to get somewhere. And at this point, I hope it happens, but we don't even know. So maybe in 2025, we will finally get a D&D campaign going. And then for everyone's favorite goals, the writing goals. So I decided last year that I was gonna do a tier system where I was gonna do like a tier or a level 1 where I wanted to like absolutely complete these goals no matter what. And then I kind of had like stretch goals. So like the what I need to complete, the ones that I would love to complete, and then like if I can manage this would be amazing. And I'm gonna tell you off the bat, level 2 and level 3 did not get completed at all. None of those happened. So if you want to go in depth and know what those goals were, again, please go watch that other video. I'm not going to waste your time here. So what I will focus on is my level 1 goals. And I think I did pretty good on it, honestly. So the first was that I wanted to finish writing my vampire novel. And I did. And I will specifically say I only wanted to write the first draft, not a second draft. And I am halfway through the second draft, which is pretty exciting. At the time that I made this goal list, I did not have the offer to do the Reedsy program. And I don't think that would have made it not happen, but that helped me get started a lot quicker in the year than if I had pushed it off and like waited until the time was right. So I'm happy that I did the Reedsy program because I got through my first draft and its completion by May, and then I've been working on it slowly over the last couple of months getting through my second draft. So that was a win. My second goal, and if you are relatively new here, then last year I wrote a first draft of a dark mermaid fantasy. And I wanted to not write draft 2, but I wanted to world build in Mermaid. There were some things that needed to be expanded upon, in particular the religion, the world itself, like how the world is structured and what each like cities or countries and what that looks like. And I really needed to expand on the politics a little bit more. So I don't think I did this as well as I wanted to, but in the beginning of the year when I would have ideas, I would jot them down. So I did have a brain dump for my world building in Mermaid, and I did that more in the beginning of the year, probably because Mermaid was like fresh in my mind. I had just stopped working on it at the end of last year, so I really like wanted to get some of those ideas out. But I really thought I was gonna sit down and like really have like brainstorming sessions for it, and I didn't do that. So I still think I did something. I was able to jot down ideas. So I'm gonna call that a win as well. I think I met it. It's just what my expectation of meeting it and what actually was considered met were a little bit different. And then the next two kind of go together because I really wanted to edit some of the short stories I had written. I have quite a few stories written. I have some that are started, some that are finished and just never went back to figure out what I wanted to do with them. So I really wanted to like edit some of them instead of writing brand new ones. And I did it. I didn't do it for everything. When I wanted to write something, I did and I let myself explore new ideas, but I did edit some of them and I went and proceeded to submit them. So I think that was a win. And then the second part of that was I wanted to submit at least 10 times this past year. And I thought that was a pretty reasonable goal. And truthfully, it's actually, I think, like a lot harder than I would have imagined to submit that many times, because one, like trying to see what all the calls are and what they're looking for, and then either finding a story you've written that fits that call or writing to a new call, that takes quite a lot of time. So I was kind of surprised when I actually submitted 15 times this past year. I got mostly rejections. I had one honorable mention, and that was just like my name. It wasn't public, my story wasn't published, but my name was included, and I did get paid $20 for that honorable mention, so that was kind of cool. I also had 2 poems that were accepted for an upcoming anthology, so that will be coming out in 2025, and I will keep you guys updated, but I'm excited that those poems were accepted, and we have something to look forward to next year already. And I have 2 outstanding submissions. I have another poetry submission out right now. I submitted 4 poems for another anthology call, and I don't know the status of that, and I don't think they will be getting back until next year. I also have a short story out in the works, and that was a really, really exciting story that I had so much fun writing. I talked about that in my wrap-up in November. I will leave that linked above. And that will not be announced until February. So yeah, that was all the exciting stuff. So despite all the rejections, it was still a really fun year, and I'm really glad I pushed myself and found so many places to submit my work to, because I can't get better if I don't keep trying. And a couple of them, I will say, gave me really good feedback on my work. So that's something that I am excited to be able to take and apply to future edits once more. And those were the goals of 2024. I honestly thought I did pretty good. You know, I didn't meet all of my personal and reading goals, but I think everything else went really well. And I think that was in part because I really like stopped myself from going too crazy, because in the past years I would set goals that I just in no capacity would have been able to achieve, because I am one human being with a full-time job and a lot of responsibilities. So I'm happy with where I'm at. So let me know down below, if you're still here, how did you fare in your own goals for this year? All right, so we're gonna keep this rolling, and we're gonna be really quick with my 2025 goals. Starting with reading again, this is no surprise. I'm gonna keep my reading goal at 52 books. I just find it works so well for me, and it pushes me to continue reading without having like unsurmountable expectations. Like I am always enjoying the books I'm reading, and I feel if I raised that goal any, it would almost feel like a competition to like get so many books in the year. So 52 is just a really pleasant place to be at, and I am going to keep it that way. My second goal for reading is that I am the co-host for 2 book clubs. I have an in-person book club at a local business that I co-host with my friend. So I would like to maintain that one and be on top of the content creation that I do for the Facebook group. And with Autumn Ashley here on YouTube / over on Discord, we are revamping and restarting the Autumn Breeze book club. Information is linked down below. Guys, come join us. We are reading Mistborn for our first book. So we will be starting the read in January and having our book club discussion over on Discord at the end of February. All the dates and things will be announced in the Discord, and we may pop in and share some things on YouTube as well. But for now, we're keeping it over on Discord, so that way everyone can participate and keep it pretty casual. So yeah, I'm excited to read Mistborn, and I'm excited to maintain these clubs, and I think that's a doable goal because I've already pretty much been doing them. And my last reading goal is more reading adjacent, but I have also decided that if I'm going to buy books in the future, I'm going to really try to focus in on independent bookstores or just like physical brick and mortar stores in general, like Books A Million or Barnes & Noble. And that's just like a personal preference. Again, I just want to be able to support them and like the stores, because I don't want that to die out. And I love going into the bookstore, and it's become too easy to just like buy something on Amazon and get it shipped really quickly. And I really just miss going into the bookstores to find books. Like I went recently again, and that's kind of what pushed me to do it, is I was like in the bookstore and I was just enjoying walking around, and I don't do that as much. So I already got a Books A Million membership, and I plan on using that for my pre-orders and my pickups now because I can. For my personal goal, the two main things, I'm going to continue to have my personal financial goal. I'm not saying that that's going to be like an absolute goal is to get a house, because we don't know how the market's going to be, but saving and planning for that is my goal. So I think at the very least that's manageable, is just to save and plan and figure out like what we have to do to get a new home. And then carrying over the goal that I did not complete last year, I am planning on exercising once a week this year. For Christmas, somebody already bought me a yoga pass to start the year off well, and it's a 5-class pass, so I can do yoga for the first 5 weeks or whenever I want to. I also have a standing desk and a walking pad, which I will use the walking pad and count that as exercise because I will be moving. So I think this year I'm setting intentions already this month for what I want next year, and I am really, really excited to be able to implement these, especially because the walking pad will allow me to do more writing. So I'm doing 2 things at once, and because I've already practiced this and I know I can, I'm actually really, really productive when I'm writing and walking. So I think doing the weekly exercise is going to be more likely to happen next year. And then finally, my writing goals for 2025. I have 3, and only 3. And this is because I want to be able to give my all to the things that I am focusing on next year. And that means the first goal I have is I would like to query my vampire novel. I think this is doable at this point because looking at how I've been editing and getting into the story, I think that I can have this story edited for my second draft, reread one time through and just correcting little things, and then off to beta readers in the beginning of the year. So like January, February. And then while my beta readers are reading it and giving me feedback, I can work on my query package. And I kind of said that was my goal to begin with over the last couple months, but I'm feeling really good about it now. So I think querying is absolutely doable. And I think it's probably for the best. I probably should be doing it now, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but vampires are coming back. That makes me excited, but it also makes me nervous because, of course, publishing, like, there are trends. And if I wait too much longer, I might miss the trend and people might not be taking it. Or they may be signing too many vampire books at this point because they are getting popular. So I'm hopeful that, like, if I hit that sweet spot, I may get somewhere. And of course, that always, is not up to me once I query, because it just depends on the time, the market, and which agents are accepting manuscripts for horror. So yeah, I'm going to have a lot of research to do next year, but I think without a doubt, we will be querying this novel. That said, I also want to write a new novel of some sort, and that is up to interpretation. I am not going to say which novel I'm going to write, because I may be in the mood to start something from scratch again. I haven't done that in a while, and that is always a fun and exciting time. I may want to pick up a novel that I kind of abandoned. Like maybe I wrote 5 or 10,000 words and then never went back to it, and I have like 2 or 3 of them. So maybe I want to go back and like finish those novels. Or I also have a couple different projects with co-writers, some that are completely unwritten and just planned out, and some that are partially written, again, and need to be finished. So I just want it to be new and complete, and that is the goal. So whatever I end up choosing, at least one new book to completion needs to be done for next year, and I will call that a win. And because I had, relatively good success with my submissions for short stories and poetry this year, I would like to continue doing that. So I'm gonna lower the goal, but I would at least like to have 5 submissions out in the world next year between January 1st and December 31st. And I may do more, and that's fine, but I do think 5 is a sweet spot because I could be writing short stories randomly. Like I might get interested in a contest, or I may see a theme that I'm really excited about and want to write something for. Or I may see a theme and I have something written for that, so I may want to submit that. But whatever the case is, I want to submit 5 times and just see where I can get to next year. So I've rambled so much, guys, and I think at this point I am tired of talking. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching this. If you've gotten this far, please leave me like a little like fireworks emoji thinking about bringing in the new year. And let me know down below what your 2025 goals are. And that's it for me. So until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.